Before moving to our public participation, we haven't had a board meeting where we were able to recognize the retirement of Ms. Shawn Young. So she's here with us tonight, and I just want to thank her for her service to and commitment to our school system, and wish you well in your retirement. And also on tonight, I want to take this time to introduce to our board and to the rest of the community our new principal for Arthur Williams. He's with us tonight, and that's Mr. Jeremy Foreman. If you would just stand for us, please. We're moving to our public participation. We're going to invite you to come up to the podium. We have 6 people signed up in 5 minutes each on that. And so the first person we have is Mr. Jay Freeman.
Good afternoon. As you know, I'm Jay Freeman. I'm here to share a lot of numbers with you all in hopes to change you guys' minds.
Get in close to your mic, folks. Thank you.
All right, let's start with the elephant in the room, COVID-19. We know it spreads person to person via close contact, obviously 12 or 6 feet apart. We've been told it has a rougher time with high and humid temperatures like we have here in South Florida. Very gifted in that sense. All right, so in Lake County, we have a total of 381 cases on Monday. State of Georgia had 145,000 with 3,000 deaths, supposed cases. All these numbers are from our CDC for the U.S. government. It's what we have to use. The current world epicenter of the disaster is 41 miles away to the south of us in Florida, with over 15K in confirmed cases a day. Now, less common folk would say the virus doesn't kill kids, right? Doesn't affect them as bad, affects older folk. Does anyone know here what the after effects of COVID actually are? Lung scarification, stuff like that. The easiest way to explain it is that it makes your lungs fibrosis, meaning it's like fibrin. I guess those people are right. It won't kill the kids, but we really want our kids breathing hard from scarification of lungs their whole life. Let's talk about locally what's going on. Walmart's requiring us to wear masks to shop. Across county lines, Pineville's starting to find people who are not wearing masks. We're all wearing masks here for the most part, right? You guys have even started your open houses online to prevent even further spread from the adult children. Let's move on to back to school, right? Schools worldwide are acknowledging positions are requiring both masks and eye covering. You guys strongly suggest masks. Don't really mention eye covering. All right, I'm not from here. I'm from Collier County, Florida. So let's take a look at the school system I came from. They have 4 options for their returning students to schools that I think should be considered and mulled over by people's minds. Their option 1 is they're having in-school teaching, returning to school just like us. However, they're requiring a mask and eye protection of some kind to show up at the school. They are supplying at one time. We probably don't have the budget. Option 2, they have a structured virtual learning program with parents picking up schoolwork at the school, taking it home to the students, and when the students need help, they can have an appointment set up, or there's various virtual services they're using to assist the students and teachers to communicate and progress the education of the children. Option 3 is a flexible virtual learning. The classes like reading, writing, arithmetic, the main core courses, are held online with electives like chorus, PE, at parents' discretion at the school with the mask and the eye cover. The last option, obviously, is homeschooling. That's an option for us too. We only really have an option of either sending our kids to school or homeschooling them unless we have medical illness. Now, the city I'm talking about is a city of 22,000 people, just within the city limits of that city. Jessup only has 10,000 via the 2018 light census. The city with double the people obviously has a bigger budget. We all understand this, but we would like maybe the board to reconsider more stricter regulation on masks and more options when returning to school this fall for parents that don't really feel safe sending our kids out among the virus. Thank you very much.
Miss Elaine Stewart.
I'm not a public speaker, but I just couldn't stay home and I'll come and address this. I spoke with Mr. Johnson. I called him on twice last week, talking about why are y'all letting my kids back in that school to kill them? That's exactly what you're doing. And Mr. Johnson told me he made a decision. I said, you don't make that decision. He said, I'm the superintendent and I make that decision. So I don't have to look at your attention. Not for my babies, you don't. You don't make it for them. And you shouldn't be making for all the kids. You won't be kidding.
Ms. Connie Jones.
I'm going to read an insert from the CDC website. The more people a student or staff member interact with, the longer that interaction, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spread. The risk of COVID-19 spread increases in school settings as follows. Lowest risk students and teachers engage in virtual-only classes, activities, and events. Highest risk, full-size, in-person classes and activities or events. Students are not spaced apart, share classroom materials or supplies, and mix between classes and activities. We currently have 429 cases in Wayne County, and it's going up drastically. Even though students may not show symptoms, they are carriers and can spread that to family members and the elderly. If it's not safe for all students to return to school, no students should return to school. There's really no social distance guidelines in place as of today for reopening schools in Wayne County. You're not requiring masks. There's no social distancing in the classroom or on the school bus. I work out of town. I have to be to work. I have to leave Jessup at 6:15. My only option is for my kids to ride the school bus. There's no mask requirements. There's no social distancing on the school bus. How are the school bus driver going to sanitize the school bus in between the routes that they have to go and pick up kids? The school bus are overcrowded. There's at least 24 seats on the school bus, 2 kids per seat. That's 48 students. How do you social distance? How do you keep them safe? If it's not safe for all, none of them need to go back to school. Offer us virtual or delay it. Thank you.
Mr. Grayson Powell.
Good evening, Wayne County. To our Superintendent Brinson, our Chair, Mr. Ellis, and all other board members. As a citizen of Wayne County, I grew up and I was raised in Wayne County. Graduated Wayne County as an alumni. Taught here in Wayne County for a couple of years. Currently in the field of education. I felt that it was imperative that after speaking with some people throughout our community, to come and just address the board concerning how the board collaborates with all stakeholders. And what I mean by all stakeholders, you have parents, which should be the #1 stakeholder. And that's one of my questions. What proactive measures has the board taken to communicate effectively with parents within this system? Second of all, not only are the parent stakeholders, what input have you gained from other entities throughout the community who are considered stakeholders? I myself am considered a stakeholder. You say, well, Powell, you don't teach in Wayne County, but I pay taxes here in Wayne County. So that gives me the opportunity to come out and address this issue and to get some input. Thirdly, we have religious organizations, and I know due to the COVID outbreak, a lot of churches have been closed down and maybe information hasn't been passed back and forth effectively. However, gaining information from our religious leaders and those individuals, even big businesses throughout this community, to provide input to say, okay, what are your ideas and what are your suggestions? That my concern comes from overall, how do you all collaborate collectively to gain the insight from your community on best practices? Now, I'm working with a district who has decided that their best practice is to return to school virtually, period. That wasn't a decision that was made totally by the board. It wasn't a decision made, no offense, Mr. Brinson, but it wasn't a decision solely made by the superintendent. It was a collective effort from the community, parents, businesses, civic organizations, people who came together to put their minds together to decide, okay, what is best for our children? Not only our children, but our adults, not only the adults, but the elderly people who are a part of this community. Now, those questions I'd like to gain some input from. What strategies have you guys used to include all stakeholders within this community? Also, how has the board considered any other options? Secondly, and thirdly, what proactive strategies do you have in place to deal with this increase, if so be, of the COVID-19 cases in our schools? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Rico Curtis.
Good evening, everyone. My questions for the board is this. With the cases of COVID-19 currently rising drastically in Wayne County, what measures of sanitation is going to be made on the school's effort to keep our children safe, to keep them from contracting? Even as carriers, they have parents, they have grandparents who are very susceptible to catching illnesses. Like, what measures would it go to protect our community instead of bringing our kids into a petri dish and allowing it to bounce around to each one of them and maybe escalate tenfold? You don't know. We still don't know how this operates. And how are you going to say it's okay to send our children back to this and there's still no cure for it? There's no cure for it. And if the kids do contract it, how does it affect their attendance if they have to miss school due to contracting it? It's going to disturb their education. It's going to destroy their health. And it can spread to other family members and become fatal. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Arthur Stone.
Good evening, folks. Good evening, board. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you giving me a platform to be able to speak. Just want to come to you and let you know, as we all are here, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a United States service member, I'm a citizen, I am your resident. And so today, after kind of being in Jessup only for about a year, One thing that I told myself I was going to do is definitely be involved in my community. And what do you know? We're all going through COVID right now, so what an opportunity right now to be able to speak to you. I want to call your attention though the reopening policy that you disseminated on the 16th of July. All right, it was generated on the 14th of July. First of all, I want to commend you for the amount of effort, the amount of fortitude, the amount of grit, the amount of thought that's been put into the document. But I do want to bring one thing, two points to question first. On page 1 of the document, point 8 says, and I'll just read it real quick, wearing of masks or clear plastic shields that cover the nose and mouth is strongly encouraged but not required. Masks must be appropriate for school and meet dress code 5 guidelines. Masks that cover the entire head, such as those for costumes, are not permitted. Bandanas are not permitted. Then I'd like to move your attention to point number 9, the next. All staff members are encouraged to wear a mask or clear plastic shield and will self-monitor their health data. Then I'll move you forward to point 24. To begin the school year, only students with verifiable medical conditions that can make attending school unsafe will participate in distance learning. All other students will attend school at the school sites. So there are 2 points that I want to make from point 8 and point 9 together, and then point 24. The first with point 8 and point 9 is 3 questions. Well, first 2 points. Bullet 8 states that students all ages are of that population. It implies that we are all of the same population. However, it's strongly encouraged but not required for them to wear a mask. Right. Point 9, the staff, i.e. members of our country's, or excuse me, our county's organization, are of that same population. They are encouraged to wear a mask or clear plastic shield and will self-monitor their health data. I have 3 questions for them. First, how do 2 different groups within the same population have 2 different health requirements? Second, how is a rule for one person not applicable to a person in the same personal space? And third, are not those rules and facts applicable to all Wayne County residents? So that's my first point right there with point 8 and point 9. Taking down to point 24, I'd like to draw your attention to page 15, which is the last page of the document that was disseminated on the 16th. Vulnerable populations, and I'll just read this word for word. Elderly individuals and or individuals with serious underlying health conditions, including high blood pressure, chronic lung disease, diabetes, obesity, asthma, and those whose immune system is compromised, such as, in keywords, such as chemotherapy for cancer and other conditions requiring such therapy. This is a very good statement that identifies that there is a vulnerability in our population. This document came out on the 16th. It was generated on the 14th. The CDC guidelines changed on the 17th to include even more conditions that have been identified. I don't need to read those to you. We all have access to them. Okay? I want to take you down to point number 4 at page 15. If the guardian of a student that has been medically diagnosed with a condition that causes them to be more vulnerable is not comfortable with sending the student to school, the guardian and the school system will mutually agree on a distance learning plan for the student. Second sentence, if a staff member has been medically diagnosed with a condition that causes them to be more vulnerable and is not comfortable returning to work, they will discuss this with the Human Resources Director. Okay, so my point here first is for this sentence, point 4, is a very long sentence. I'm not saying it's a bad sentence. It covers what must be covered. However, is it fully understood? There's some key words in that literature right there. First being, if the guardian of a student that has been medically diagnosed. I could easily read that quick enough or with an impediment and think if a guardian or a student that has been medically diagnosed with a condition that causes them to be more vulnerable. All right? In this document, all 15 pages, vulnerable is used 6 times. In this document, hand washing is used 1 time. All right? My question is, who with will all parents discuss their medically diagnosed illness that is cited as of July 17, 2020 on the CDC website? Who with will we discuss as parents our conditions, our problems that fall within the CDC guidelines? We are looking after the staff with conditions that we're setting. We want to educate our children with a world-class education that gives them potential to reach the It gives them the opportunity to reach their potential as it states on page 1. But what about the parents? What about their medically underlying conditions that are cited in the CDC guidelines? This is a challenge for all of us. We are all in this room because we care. So I would just like to ask the board to consider those 2 points right there. Please consider that there are families out here. And there is also another side to Wayne County where there is danger to our students if they don't get back to the school. I acknowledge that. But we must all acknowledge this. The fortitude that is required, that you've already demonstrated, requires that we look at this a lot closer and open up an opportunity for those families who can prove to you their medical fragility with good quality evidence that has been diagnosed and is considered an underlying condition that would make them fragile in the Wayne County population. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Discussion and information.
All right, first item, we've had our exit audit report with our auditors. Very positive report, no findings, but I'll ask Mr. Auditors just to say a few words about, the overall the process and what its intent is and why we have an annual audit.
This was for the year FY19. Obviously, we as the board office, we work up our financials. We present those to the state. They review that, and then of course they always have to come in and look for additional information. This is normal protocol. This is done every year on an annual basis. As Dr. Brinson stated, we just had the exit conference about 2 weeks ago. We got very complimentary remarks from that audit. In that they said that the audit went well, just like it has in previous years. We received what we call an unmodified opinion. That seems like a very odd term, but as far as opinions go on an audit, that is the one that you want. This is the perfect choice for the right opinion that you want. They also went into for a response to what we call audit findings. And in that report, you have what they call different levels. They might have something they might recommend. Hey, we feel like you probably should do this in this circumstance. That's strictly a recommendation. Then you have something that, hey, we have a documented finding, and this is what kind of finding it is. They're on different levels. The lowest of those levels is what we call a material weakness. There were none material weaknesses in the FY19 audit. Correct. The level above that, which is the highest level of the finding, would be a significant deficiency. We also had none of that as well. So the audit was a good report. We had good results from that audit, and we will be getting prepared and working in the next probably 5 to 6 months to work on the FY20 audit going forward. And we hope that process will go as well as we want to get tonight.
Any questions? Okay. Next item, Dr. Chapman, I think was going here as well. If y'all want to just step up there and tell the board about the good news and something we're going to try this year due to the circumstances. We think we can pull it off in regards to our CEP program, and I'll just let Dr. Chapman talk. I won't steal a thunder because I'm excited about this, but I do want everyone to take into account this is something we're really stretching out there to try to do something positive for our community and all of our students. Dr. Chapman, you have some details on that?
So yes, this is, we're trying to, previously we've done elementary CV. So we tried to, we're really hard to make it happen. So we're going to include middle school and high school with your approval tonight. And once you do it, you're locked into a 4-year cycle at that percentage for reimbursement. However, if after a year we see that we can't sustain that, then we can come out of it in time. But I do think this is a perfect time to roll into this and make it happen, just giving your board approval.
And this is just remind what CEP is. This is our direct certified students. Depends on our financial status of our economic status of our parents. We've been able to provide, as you know, free breakfast and lunch to our elementary and free breakfast to our middle and high. What we're doing is expanding that out to free breakfast and lunch to all students in the Wayne County schools. You have to meet a certain percentage because
Make it work.
to make it work and not go in the hole. You know, breaking even is a good thing. We think we're close enough, especially during, you know, what we have going on, that prevents, you know, there's no exchange of money, no keypads. That's another safety thing that, you know, they just go through the line and they get their breakfast and they get their lunch. And we feed them and that's it. We're just putting that caveat with it. Is that at the end of the year, we think we're close enough, but we just don't know until we get through the year. If we go too bad in the hole, we may have to pull back on that.
And what it makes up going from like 81% claiming to 72.
Yeah, it's just,
So, which is
a little
pretty big
concerning.
hit, but I do think we'll be able to make it.
this is dear to at least try it. You know, there's certainly some benefits, and if it costs us a little money for 1 year, I think that's money well spent, certain under circumstances. But that's our recommendation. Certainly need your approval if we're going to move forward. Questions or comments?
So I just to make sure I understand you correctly, we will be offering all of our students free,
Free, I'm sorry, I think I said it's free lunch,
Right.
free breakfast, all
Let's do
students,
that fall.
all 8 schools, no forms, or did we take forms?
No.
No forms, none of the stuff we do normally, we chasing forms and aggravating parents to death to get them in. Charges, all that management stuff that we have to do, handling money, all that stuff would be no more for next year, if you're approved. Correct. I think so too, but it does need your approval and action.
We need a motion to that effect?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to go this route.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes, ma'am.
Davis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Steele,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tippett.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate Dr. Chapman on that, and Samantha and all of that staff's hard work on that. Again, that's a lot of digging and crunching and trying to make it fit, but we're excited about it. All right, next item is school opening update. And I'll just start off with, let me make sure we understand, you know, as far as our plans, they're constantly changing as far as the plans, because updated, like one of our speakers said, Stone, that, you know, we're getting information, you know, we want to get some information out, and we waited a little bit later than some folks for that reason, because, you know, recommendations and guidance is coming, you know, weekly, really, sometimes daily. So we're not afraid to change what we're doing. We do have a virtual option, but it's for all students, okay? If it gets to that point, and if we keep trending the way we are with 50 cases a day, you know, that may be what we have to do. I will say, you know, the death rate really in our whole state is, you know, reduced about 70%. And we also need to look at digging into the facts of things. When we look at our numbers, certainly have increased just, you know, I think like 200% over the last maybe week and a half or something like
4
that.
days.
It's just tremendous. I mean, but we also need to dig further. And when you see, you look at how many cases we have overall, and you take out and 190 of them are at the prison, then you think about the ones that have already recovered before that spike, and that spike's been recent, mainly due to that prison outbreak they've had, with very few of them being actual employees. The majority of them are inmates, and so they're not out in the community. We certainly have employees in and out, and there's some risk there, I understand that, but I think we got to fold all that into our decisions where we're gonna, you know, open up traditional school or go a totally virtual option. And we're ready to go totally virtual. You know, first day of school if needed. The only draw to that, I'll say first day of school as scheduled, it wouldn't be ideal. We really want, one of the factors that's really trying to get, encourage really try to get back into a traditional setting is also get updated contacts. That's so critical. You know, our parents, you know, we have parents who move around a lot, people moving in. If we don't have updated contacts, very difficult to get distance learning situations set up. So if we could start it all, that helps that process. If we can't, we're just gonna have to manage it and put forth some extra effort of chasing people down and going out and reaching contacts. But I'm not scared I'm not concerned about a totally virtual option. You know, or since we've learned a lot since the spring, we've been planning toward that for the last 4 months with teachers. Professional learning's been going on. Ms. Jones and her staff, technology staff, has the ongoing virtual learning, professional learning options for our teachers, and we're a lot better off now, certainly when we're in the spring. If we're going to teach for the long haul, we're going to ramp up. There will be grades, and kids are going to have to be held accountable, and so there have to be constant communication with the parents are going to have to, really help us out with the communication piece and kind of take it behind, but we won't be there. And of course, that's a concern too. That's just a little bit of update as far as I'm thinking. We're certainly monitoring things. The only other comment I'll make to start the conversation is, the duration of the normal, and of course, there's always exceptions, but 14 days is the window of the virus playing itself out with most people. So I just keep in mind, we have more than that. We have 20-something days before school is scheduled to start right now. So everybody has COVID-19 right now could potentially be recovered. All right, so that's.
Well, Doc, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not. I don't feel comfortable with going forward with this, and one of the reasons why is because as I look at the data, and I do a lot of posting about this data, and I look at the data last night, and it's 336, and then I look at the data today, and it's 429. You go back to, I think it was Sunday, and it was just at 300. You go back on Saturday, it was like 274. So, and this is all in the month of July. We're not talking about a time frame over 2 or 3 months. We're talking about a time frame over 2 or 3 weeks that we've had hundreds. When we started out in June, I think we still had like 13. And of course, we knew those people had recovered. Now we get to the end of June and it goes up to about 50 something. So in the month of July alone, we've had over 300 cases, and we can't prove whether those cases are out at the prison or not.
Sure we can.
Somebody need to show me some data. And not only that, not only that, okay, I'm not willing to go into a classroom. I won't be going to Liberty County next year, okay, because I've got a small grandchild that I love to see. I understand about, we want to say that about the mentality of a kid. Who is going to take care of that kid when that kid takes home COVID to their grandparent? Because a lot of our kids being raised by their grandparent, that grandparent dies. What do you think is going to happen to the mentality of that child who was probably asymptomatic, finds out that they gave that to their grandparent, and the grandparent dies? It's real. I got a friend, I'll go ahead and say it, she does not mind. Jeanette Ratliff, okay, Fillmore, brother, 73 years old, is on he's fighting for his life right now, okay? No, he's not in Wayne County, but I don't know all the people here. Our hospital right now is 100% diversion, meaning if something happens, we don't have a bed to go in out there. Now, me personally, I've been nice about this thing, but me personally, I cannot sign off on, okay, we're gonna go and have school as normal. Everybody's been saying, we're not mandating masks, okay? I don't agree with that. I got a kid, my grandson, he's not even 2 years old yet. We're training him. We're training TJ to wear a mask. I got a nephew who's 4 or 5 years old. He wears a mask. Daddy said, put on a mask. He wears the mask. He has a brother that is 11-year-old. Mama, daddy says, put on a mask. They wear a mask. One, it's going to start at home, and it also starts at the top with us setting the example. And I like what Jason Powell said. We need to be proactive with the things that we do. And that is what we need to do. And it's time out for just shutting somebody out, not listening to somebody because you got a personal problem or something with it. I am here because my constituents, and some of my constituents have reached out to me and said, hey, look, we have a problem. Now, these people sitting here, they probably represent 20 to 30 other people that cannot be here. So you may look out here and say, well, there's only a few people, but they represent 20 or 30 other people who share the same concerns as they may share. And when it comes down to education, I taught learning focus for over 15 years. I understand about differentiation. And differentiation means, okay, I'm going to teach you the same objective, but maybe in a different way. So I feel like if we got parents who do not feel comfortable with sending their child to school, one, we need to be smart enough to understand that's going to free up space in the classroom for a little social distancing. If those parents that would do that are also the parents who are going to make sure that their students are getting online, that their students are doing the thing that we're doing. No, we don't want to put a burden on our teachers, but we pay. I don't think we do too bad, okay? We pay. That's their job. That's what they do. I advocate teachers all day long. I understand we're pushing the education thing, but a dead person, whether it's mentally or physically educated, don't mean a hill of beans. So we need to look at the big picture. I can't bully nobody into doing nothing, but I'm passionate about it because I'm passionate about my children. That's the children of Wayne County. And I'm passionate about those people that probably helped me be who I am and where I am today. And I'm not turning my back on them.
Dr. Brinson, if I may make a comment. As a board member, we all have different abilities, capabilities, different areas of expertise. So when we get into a situation like this, we rely on professionals to give us their opinion on whether it is safe or whether it is not safe. 5 pediatricians in Wayne County, every one of them said we need to open school. Educational professionals that wrote these documents, these folks are professionals. That's what they do. They say we need to be in school. Now, I want to thank every one of you that came out and voiced your opinion. But at the end of the day, we have experts saying that this is safe to do and that our kids need to be in school. Now, we must understand that every action or every reaction has a consequence. If we don't go to school, it is a fact that sexual predators are out there with these children. The incident rate of, hold on, let me finish. The incident rate of sexual assaults on these children are going up. It is a fact that some of these children rely on the Board of Education and the Wayne County school system to provide them with nutritious meals. Everybody is not privileged. Some kids, the only good meal they get during the day is from the school. So I think what we will you let me finish, sir? You had your chance to speak. Let me finish. So what I would say, let's work together. Let's implement some of the ideas that you guys have. You had some great ideas. I covered it. Face covers. Dr. Brinson is saying we're not opposed to change. This startup document is a living document. It changes. And who knows, like Dr. Brinson said, 21 days before school starts, we may not have an option to start school. The state government may say no. But I think it's oversimplifying to say we just don't need to go to school, because if we don't go to school, there is consequences for that as well. So, thank you.
But but the experts of the CDC, I think we're ignoring also what the advice from the CDC, the Centers of Disease Control and Epidemiologists are saying. That is the other thing that we are doing. Okay. And my other thing is we are saying that, hold on a minute, son. We are also saying that students who, if they don't have an underlying health condition, their parents don't have a choice whether to keep them home or not. I don't agree with that. I totally disagree with that. If that parent would like to keep that child at home, we need to work on providing that child an education, because most of the people I've talked to, They're going to pull them out anyway. We're going to lose funding. I don't want to hear nothing again about we ain't concerned about no money, because next year we got to do a budget again. And if we don't have that funding, it is going to affect this school system, and not just that one child that didn't come, but every child within this school system. Folks, I was raised on a hill, born and raised. I am a hillside hillbilly. I understand about some of the struggles that the kids have in our community. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a bigger struggle if they lose those grandparents that's raising them. You're going to have a bigger struggle. Trust me.
I gotta fix my blood sugar. The CDC doesn't get paid for sick kids. Pediatricians do.
They not even let but one child in town with their officer.
Why you say about, the pediatrician, when we say to the doctor, we got to sit in the car.
Excuse me, we're not taking any comments right now.
Okay, basically what they're trying to share is that the pediatrics, basically what I said at the last board meeting, the pediatricians are able to say, I only want one kid in my office. We'll come and get you when it's time for you to come in. Okay? And they're advising us to bring in everybody. These are the kids they service, and they're only going to let one of them come in at a time. Okay? So you're going to take the advice of somebody who can dictate how many people they come in. They're not taking that challenge. They're not taking that risk. You know, it's just a fact. And so these parents have a right to be concerned about somebody giving you medical advice, and they're not doing it themselves. They're not letting everybody go sit in their office themselves. And we're dealing with 500, 600, 700, 800, 1,400 students within different schools and different settings. So we need to, I think we're a whole lot smarter than what these people think we are, and we need to prove it and show it. And also show that we really care, not just about, okay, we're going to be the only ones to go to school. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are, but I'm telling you what people are looking and people are saying, not just here in Wayne County. Like I say, I'm on Facebook, and right now we're the mockery and laughing stock of the state of Georgia. I'm telling you, and I'm sick of it.
Mr. Ellis, I want to, there's some upset people. I'm disappointed that the colleague, we've had 2 weeks of dialogue and we've not heard anything until this point. That disappoints me tremendously.
Oh no, I've spoken.
But
Y'all had to listen.
I've read.
It's on the video.
If you don't mind, I'd like to.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, but don't lie on me.
I've listened to you.
Yes, sir. Just don't lie on me.
I've written a short thing like a lot of y'all did. I appreciate your time. And I just want to read a short summary. I'm trying to come up with some solutions. We're all throwing daggers, and we all are in this together. This is a very difficult decision that will impact everyone in Wayne County in one way or another. I was set to move forward with in-class choice only at our last meeting, as recommended by medical people and the American Association of Pediatrics. But things have changed drastically in 1 week. We have more than doubled the number of cumulative cases in Wayne County. As many of you stated, we've gone from 174 to 381 and now 429. As we have tried to explain to our stakeholders, this is a very unique and fluid pandemic we're dealing with. We postponed graduation because health officials at the national level felt the heat would all but eradicate this terrible disease pandemic. We've had plenty of heat in Wayne County. I think we can all agree with that. But our numbers have doubled in 1 short week. Because of this spike, I'm recommending we delay the start of school by 1 week to August 17th or 2 weeks to August 24th. In addition, I recommend we allow Dr. Brinson and staff to have planning time to facilitate a plan incorporating in-class and virtual learning. Excuse me, then in an effort to process what y'all are saying and the updated data, I'm gonna recommend we have a call board meeting next week and finalize some plans. Teachers would still report on August the 3rd. During this extra planning time, I propose that all certified staff become proficient in Google Classroom. In addition, the central office and/or building level administrators will have teachers construct both Google and regular in-class lesson plans for the first month of school. This can be done by grade level, subject matter. That's a building level administrative decision to meet. I also feel a survey of some fashion should be implemented to see the desires of parents. One of our smaller schools has already had 11 withdrawals. However, there are legal issues, folks, that we need to discuss, and that would have to be during executive session, and I would hope we would take those into consideration. None of us know what the future holds, but the number of COVID cases on the rise in Wayne County in the state of Georgia are indicating a shutdown and going virtual learning. I'm no expert, but I just, when you look at the numbers rising, I see it going total virtual learning. All the other systems around, I agree with you, are offering a choice, either in school or I just see it going before long to total virtual learning. But I'm gonna make this statement. I think we all agree as educators, we got to do a better job than we did in spring with it. And that's not just Wayne County. I've talked with numerous other systems. That's statewide, that's global wise. This was something that we all were caught off guard. I mean, we just, one of the things that we weren't prepared for it. But I believe we will. I believe our teachers and our staff are up to the challenge to get proficient in it and do a better job communicating at home. Georgia High School delayed start of football season for 2 weeks. And I feel we need to delay the start of school and be willing to change as needed. And that's what we're trying to say. It is fluid. 2 weeks ago, we were making one decision. It's totally different today from what we were dealing with 2 weeks ago. So we're going to have to be willing to change as needed. I'm only one vote and respect others' opinions, but I feel we have to look at allowing parents and students a choice between in-school and virtual learning, with the understanding that if a parent chooses virtual learning, it will be for an extended time. Can't go 2 weeks and then send them a week and come back. We've got to look at numbers. And I've been a high school principal, Dr. McDaniel. He's got to have some numbers to do scheduling. It's a lot different. Have to validate they have necessary equipment and connections. Now that you may not agree with me, but why are you going to do virtual learning if you don't have the proper protocol to facilitate this at home? In closing, we do value our staff, students, and community members and seek your input in order to make better decisions. Thank you.
We did bring those things up 2 weeks ago, but they were just totally dismissed. And in fact, you asked a couple of the questions as well, and they were totally dismissed. And my question about that is, as a board, as board members, where are we? What is our legality as far as implementing something? Is this something that will be implemented as a policy? Is this something that we're looking at, quote unquote, as day-to-day operations? Where do we stand with this? Because like I said, I brought up a lot of the things that you just brought up a couple of weeks ago when we had our last board meeting. But like I said, it was just totally dismissed. We can't do it. It's not possible. We can't run two school systems, and it's not running two school systems because all the other, like you said, you've done your research, and a lot of the other schools have done it. I've asked for about 6 weeks for us to do a survey. We just never would do it. I'm just putting it out there. And you're absolutely right, and I agree with you, and I have a lot of respect for you, Mr. Joe McPickett. A lot of respect. But, we've got to, from all 5 to the superintendent, got to work together, and we've got to think outside the box as a system. We've got to think outside the box. I'll be 55 years old on August 23rd. If I can go to Google Classroom, I can go to Canvas, and I can figure out how to teach my students, I think some of these 30-something-year-olds that are in the classroom, I think they're capable of doing that.
No doubt. I agree with that 100%. No doubt.
And we're just like any other business or corporation. And if we take on new things, they've got to have some training.
And I mentioned that, and I was told that the training was on this RESA. I wanted the training, just like you're saying, in-person training, because like you're probably thinking the same way because you were a principal, that, yeah, we can offer it, but will all of them do it? We have some very responsible teachers that will take it upon themselves. They will learn how to do it. But then we have some who are not going to take it upon themselves, and they're not going to do it on their own. And that's just the fact of the matter. So when we have those who won't do it on their own, then we're cheating the kids of the educational experience that they should be having, whether that's virtual or in person. We're cheating. But my biggest thing is, I think because of COVID-19, if we've got parents who ask that we allow their students to do the virtual learning, we should come up with a way to do allow those kids to do distance learning. Because I don't know too many parents who are going to ask for that and then not ensure that their kids have the accessibility to do what needs to do, ensure that their kids are doing what they're supposed to do. Because obviously they're involved in that child's education if they're asking for that to happen. And I think that I really wish that that option would be added to and extended, not just to those who have extenuating health circumstances, but to those who just feel uncomfortable.
Then I compare it to weather, things just blow up, and this has exploded.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm saying I don't mean to procrastinate or drag on people, but we give our central office staff time to figure out the logistics of that. We have a board meeting next week, and we make a decision, and that's going to be it, and we'll move forward. But I think we've got to take and encompass all that you've said, all the new data, and make some good decisions.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you, I'm gonna take this blessed thing off of you. My personal opinion, and I've learned, I told somebody today, I've learned in the last probably week or so, I knew this, but I guess it hit home, but I have my personal opinion, but I also understand that I live in District 2, and those people voted me to represent what District 2's opinion is. And my personal opinion has been from the word go, we need to get school and have school. I'm not going to back off from that as far as my personal opinion. My personal opinion is we need to get school and have school. I just believe that. And I believe if we were to delay it because I've got several emails and I tried my best to answer every one of them, asking about waiting until after Labor Day. And I believe if we do that, we'll be sitting right there at Labor Day with the same issue we're at right now. Is because whenever we start school, it's going to spike again. I just believe that. I believe we've got to try to find a way to get through that so we can beat this thing. That's just my personal opinion. I've listened, though, to the people that have sent me emails and the people that text me, and that's a teacher, even virtually. And I don't disagree with Coach Mack, but even virtually, because I taught for 30 years, so if I was still in the classroom doing what I did for 30 years, how am I going to teach a kid to weld virtually? So what are we going? We got, and that's why I don't disagree with giving us some time to figure some things out, because we got automotive, we got health care science, we've got all these classes that even chemistry. How are you going to teach a kid some of the chemistry stuff and they're at home? Because there's chemicals to do all that the correct way. We've got to figure that out. But as a District 2 board member and listening to my people I don't disagree with Coach Mack. I wouldn't go no longer than what he said. I think we need to get to school. But I think that I don't have a issue with, because we got to listen to people. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We got to listen to all the things, and we have had it the last 2 or 3 days. Boy, my email has blown up. But I do not disagree with Coach Mack. My personal opinion is one thing, but what I think I need to follow for my people in District 2 is another.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. Keep saying you want to. If people who go back to school think we have that option, it's like
That's what I'm talking about when I say we need to work things out. I see that point.
I appreciate the parents and I appreciate all the people that have taken time to come out tonight. I have spoken to several individuals, some of you are in the crowd, some are viewing online. And I appreciate all of the input. We need that input. We decided as a board to have a call board meeting to generate that document. So that document could be released to the community, and that's what we've done. And so from that document, we are generating the feedback so that we as a governance team can make a decision. This governance team is 5 board members and the superintendent. He works with us as a district level governance team to make decisions. It's not us against him and it's not him against us. We charge him with the responsibility to hire district level directors to formulate plans, to formulate information, to bring to us as board members. That's how school systems work. I've served as a chair of this board for 6 years. And that's how we have worked here. And we're going to continue to work through this. There are 181 school districts in the state of Georgia. I've had the opportunity over the last 5 months to serve as the district director for the Georgia School Boards Association, which represents 13 schools inside of this area. I've sat through a lot of virtual meetings. I've listened to our state school superintendent. I've listened to the Department of Public Health. I've listened to our executive director from Georgia School Boards Association. Out of 181 school districts, every school system is doing something different. And it's mind-blowing. I've shared with Dr. Brinson some of the districts that are connected, some of the school districts that are connected inside of our area on what they're doing. He's gotten emails, he's gotten things that I've screenshot and sent to him so that we can have those conversations about how to do those things. We don't have the answers. That's why we value what you're bringing to the table tonight. And we as a board are going to listen to what you're saying tonight, and we're going to discuss this more, give Dr. Brinson and his team an opportunity to leave tonight and work through some days of formulating some plans and formulating some options, and we're going to have a call board meeting to make the decision. Everybody's not going to agree with the decision because I don't know what that decision is going to be until we actually sit down and formulate those plans. But we're going to have some decisions. I value the input of everybody sitting on this board. Coach Mack, former principal, Coach Daniel, a former teacher, Mr. Harris, a former teacher, and Mr. Ray and I have worked together with booster clubs for a long time. We've done a lot of fundraising activities and work and served this community, and we enjoy serving this community. I personally have taken the opportunity to visit our kids who are already back functioning in our extracurricular activities. I drove around, I talked with coaches, I talked with kids, seen the protocols that they're putting in place. I've made sure that our coaches and our people who have kids on campus right now have protocols, have a safety plan. They're checking kids, they're sanitizing the buildings, they're making kids wear masks. I went by because I wanted to see them doing these things and make sure that they were following what we asked them to put in place. We asked every coach and every extracurricular sponsor to put a safety protocol plan in place. And so I wanted to make sure that as they started these activities back this summer, that they were doing these things. I've had an opportunity to go by the Boys and Girls Club. They've reopened and see their plan, see their operations of how they've done it to make sure that people were following guidelines. And it's an accountability thing because we're going to have to make sure that principals are following guidelines if we go with the route of reopening schools. We put this plan out here. We appreciate your input. I appreciate the input of every board member. We're certainly going to talk about the legal side of this. That has to be discussed in executive session. But we're going to share what we can share in the open public. We're going to share this information. We appreciate it. Continue sending us emails. Continue giving us phone calls. Continue calling your board members. That's what we need. Speak with your principals. Speak with the teacher friends that you have, because guess what? Teachers are speaking up for what they want and what they expect out of us. But as Coach Mack says, we also are going to expect more of our teachers because there are a lot of things that wasn't done properly. From teachers, from our staff, from parents. We gotta work together to educate these kids. There are a lot of kids, when we left school on March 13th, there were a lot of kids who did no distance learning. None. I got 3 kids in this district. I promise you, mine did everything they were supposed to. They didn't want to. They griped, they cried, they talked about what other kids were doing, but I made sure they did it. And that's what we've got to do. If we go that route, we got to have parent commitment. We've got to have people that are going to be able to provide their kids the things they need so that they can be successful if we have to go full time and if we give those options to do that. We've got to have parent commitment. So we're going to continue to explore this. We're going to continue to talk about it. And next week, we're going to make a decision.
I have one more question, and it's
Yes,
about
sir.
devices. I'm hearing from other systems that I just want to know, were we in the same situation, other systems who have partnered with Comcast? I know Ms. Denny said that we partnered with Verizon for the hotspots. Is that right? Ms. Jones has said we partnered with Verizon for the hotspots. Well, evidently, Comcast is doing something as well, you know, to help out with students who don't have, you know, a connection and everything. And I've heard several, not just Liberty, but a couple other places have done that. And in fact, I had a parent call me from over there to say, hey, have y'all heard about this? You know, because everybody's sharing with everybody, you know, what's going on and what they, you know, what's available. So that may be something that we can also look into to help with those kids who don't have the availability of internet.
We have a number of students who take advantage of the Comcast reduced price internet, and I've talked to several parents whose families utilize that service, and it is you know, quality internet.
Right.
Now, there are some problems with that in that you have to be in an area that Comcast serves, and there are a few other, Ms. Jones, you might know some more details, but there are a few other hurdles, but there is a good program that does provide internet, and they also have provided some of their community hotspots that you can access, you know, anywhere in your service area, and they let those free, but those do not need, I'll let Ms. Jones talk about
This sounds like something that's a little bit new, because I'm familiar with what, you know, what you're talking about. And it's something that is integrated with the school system themselves and with the iPads that they're using and the Chromebooks or whatever, you know, they have. They're integrating it with those. So I'm not sure whether they're putting a hotspot on it or adding it inside or how they're doing it, but it's something just a little bit different than And that's what we were doing from Verizon. That's what we had. And we did Verizon just because Comcast and AT&T, they don't pick up in some of our areas, you know, like out in the country, like on 169. Right. Some different places. So we're gonna try those to see if they work. And then we also, actually today, I was gonna call the DOE grant, so then we're gonna get 19 community hotspots that we're going to be able to put out so that some areas that don't want to pick up possibly pick up. I think there's about 24% of our kids that have a very difficult time picking up at all. Okay. Well, thank you for that research.
Dr. Brinson, are we good to call one meeting for next week to
Yes, sir.
make a final possession of these
You
plans?
want to try to do that now?
Yes, Mr. Mack, you had a recommendation for a date for a meeting? Or did you say it?
I maybe Tuesday at 11 a.m. I don't, you know, whatever works for everyone else.
Is that good for you?
it okay to ask a question? What are the deliverables that we're looking for at the next meeting? Just to specify one more time what the deliverables are that we're aiming for.
It'll be the plan, so we're gonna take the input, reevaluate some of the emails and some of the concerns that were shared tonight, and we're gonna make a decision. We're gonna allow our district office an opportunity to sit down and discuss some of these things over the next couple of days, and bring us back a recommendation that we will.
And also, I think I'm not technology savvy. We're just having electric typewriters when I came through school today. But I think, Ms. Denny, Ms. Jones, to me, to see how much time we would need to really be proficient for all of our educators, so that if we do go to virtual learning, that we do a good job on our end, and then that parents, as they'll say, that takes a village to raise a child. So for us to do our part, and then for you to do your part, so that we have, so that our children benefit, because that's what we're in it for. I think basically just for Dr. Brinson and all of his staff to say, okay, we need a week, we need 2 weeks. That's my thinking. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, motion for call board meeting next Tuesday at 11 a.m.
I make that motion that we have a board meeting on Tuesday at 11 a.m.
I second it.
Move to second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Update on James E. Bacon.
Yes, sir. The update on James E. Bacon is they've sent the preliminary plans to the state. They have garnered state board's approval for those. In the meantime, they're working on the site plans to get, all of the plans, getting them to TQ constructors where they can start working on that final number, that guaranteed maximum price that they'll come. That's one of the reasons we're not started yet, is that they give you a price at the very beginning that you approve or not approve, and they don't go over that. It's guaranteed that they don't go over that. That's that construction management model that we're using in this project. So looking to have that and begin in September, 1st October, or as moving and going. That's the latest I got from Mr. Buckley and James Stuckey.
So just, we expect to see some bricks and mortar in
Yes,
September.
stuff moving around it'll be in September.
At the
In
end of
September, 1st
September?
October.
We lost some good time, but things don't always work to our schedule.
No, and I'm just wondering, we hadn't already started like a lot of people, but that's where we are. That's the facts. We're way far down the road, though. I think we do have some good plans to solve all these traffic issues and improve the safety of this whole facility, just 100%, really, 100%. At the same time, also addressing the softball needs. Barbara struck off field with, an additional practice softball, as well as getting new lights on the field that are comparable to the new ones we just put on the baseball field. That's all part of that. And that's been folded into the project as well. We know that's something that's got to be done. Boosters are anxious about that. They have some other plans too that we're talking about that they want to do. That's all part of it. Any questions?
So they got everything, all the projects we got all wrapped up in one. I mean,
No, ma'am, anything on this site, yes, ma'am, they do. Now, the track's totally separate. The Martha Ross Smith entrance and pavement, that's separate. That they're working on that. That should be coming soon. Or Martha Ross Smith, like soon and very soon. Track, we're still waiting on permit.
I thought we had gotten the permit on that.
No, ma'am.
That's not what it was that I was reading, the document. It was something, it's not final.
Process, but it wasn't final permit. That was something we were submitting that they requested, I believe. We've done everything on our end. We're just waiting on.
Okay, so I thought that was the final or whatever.
Any other questions?
We're moving to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation of the rate of a public officer, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent, to discuss school safety plans as prepared, or personnel policies related to the weapons in school. Have a motion for executive session. Move.
Second.
Move to second.
Ella,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm good.
Hey, you got a regular electronic library going, don't you?
Yeah.
There you got, there you came.
Yeah, I'm good for